This is a very challenging thing for us. And the title of my article is Why I Voted in Favor of Closing the Maplewood DMV. So this is really the discussion part, and I kind of captured it all because we certainly have been looking at this for a little while, and this is certainly a challenge. But folks, I'll just remind everyone that's what we're elected to do, that we are elected representatives of our community. So here's my article. In preparation and planning for our 2024 budget, we took a deeper look at the financial sustainability of the Maplewood DMV and passport services. We knew the DMV and passport reimbursement rates from the state and federal government were insufficient to pay for the services we were providing. But we were hopeful with a large state surplus that the DMV rates would be increased to cover our costs. We kept DMV and passport services open during the pandemic to provide continuing service during a very challenging time. I personally have used the DMV and passport service many times and have appreciated their convenience and their professionalism. Looking back 5 years, the DMV and Passport Services Department has lost $1.3 million, representing the difference between the reimbursement rates provided by the state and federal government and the actual cost to Maplewood residents and businesses to provide the services. Based on the losses and the future projected losses, it was time to evaluate whether Maplewood DMV and Passport Services was sustainable. As I see the issue, we have 3 options. Number 1, close the DMV and stop any further financial losses. 2, continue to operate the DMV and passport services and account for the losses by a dedicated annual 2% property tax increase to be paid by our residents and our businesses. That is each and every year. Or make some other deep cuts in essential city services in measure with the annual DMV losses. After much thought, many emails, and phone calls about the DMV, I decided that closing the DMV and passport services was the only choice that makes sense. DMV and passport services are not core city functions. They are state and federal functions that were provided at our Maplewood City Hall for convenience. Our core functions include public safety, roads, parks and trails, and city infrastructure. It is not fair to ask Maplewood residents and businesses to continue to subsidize the operation of the DMV and passport services. In reaching my decision, I thought of our Maplewood seniors living on fixed incomes, and I thought about young families that are struggling with high inflation and increased gas, food, and childcare costs. They would directly bear the burden of a dedicated 2% property tax increase each year. Operating the DMV and passport services has created a hole in our budget that the council had to address. We do not have any fluff in our budget, and I oppose cutting any essential city services in favor of continuing a convenience service outside a core city function. Our budget simply can't absorb losses of between $200,000 and $300,000 each year. The council recently committed to adding 3 new firefighter paramedics each year for the next 3 years, in addition to this year. This represents a core city function, and it was based on increased calls for service and the need to provide effective fire and EMS services to the community. This will come with an increase in costs to our residents and businesses. Serving as an elected city representative means I must prioritize how we spend our resources and vote accordingly. I chose to place public safety ahead of convenience services that can be performed through the mail, online, or at other DMV passport service centers. We sometimes need to adjust and make hard decisions. The fact closing the DMV Passport Center would result in staff layoffs was the hardest part of the decision for me. We have excellent staff who work hard and offer great customer service. That part of the decision weighed heavily on me, but was somewhat offset by the help and support the city has offered to the impacted staff and the fair severance packages provided by the city. Serving as the mayor of Maplewood means that sometimes I must make difficult decisions. Voting to close the DMV was a tough one, but I know it was the right decision for Maplewood. This is the article that I'll be submitting to Joe for publication in the June Maplewood Living.